That's the that. So, welcome to the show, everybody. I don't even want to tell you how we got here.
How we landed here.
How we landed here. That's the that. So, welcome to, let's see, 25 minutes? Well, we had some life updates, but
Yes.
it's it doesn't matter. The point is, we're here and we're on the show. This is where we talk about life as a professional or a hopeful one day to be a professional entertainer in the entertainment industry. I'm going to take a deep breath, but this is a really good example of what I think normal life feels like in this industry. It's always, what am I supposed to do? Where am I supposed to go? Oh my God, I have to click on this thing. Then you click on that thing, and it's like, this submission has been closed. Like, what do you mean it's been closed? It said it was due today. I'm turning it in today.
I just spent 2 hours in my living room. you know,
2 hours.
in the beginning, I did, but not
Okay.
anymore.
I'm like,
No,
don't you? Oh my gosh. Um, I have to tell myself to spend more than 2 minutes, and I'll
in two
never do more than
minutes.
two takes. I'll never.
No,
If I can't get it in two takes, I'm not going to get it. And if casting doesn't believe me and picks me, I'm only better off because of it.
right.
Um, I'm being a little facetious, but no, this industry is stressful, and you got to have mechanisms in place or habits that you have formed previously to get yourself through some of those moments that are um, really uncomfortable. And sometimes that's being spread in way too many different directions.
Mm,
Sometimes it's knowing the amount of money that you need and the amount of money that this one particular client might be offering, and knowing that you're doing less work for less time 2 weeks ago, but you're making three times the money, and it just doesn't
doesn't
add
compute.
up. It does not
No.
compute, right? And there is a way to deal with that. You won't always win. You won't always win. And I've learned the hard way that sometimes if you even, I don't want to use the word fight it, but if you even push back a little bit or stand up for yourself a little bit, you will be um, ostracized a little bit more
Mm.
in this industry. But you know what? I think it does all balance out as long as you're consistent with your quality of work, I think. And speaking of quality work, 5 minutes into it, I'm Jonathan. She's Leslie. Leslie had a gig. Tell us about your gig,
I
Leslie.
had a gig. Yeah, I did a couple of weeks ago. It was for a tourism board, locally here where I live, and they're like, "Hey, you and your husband can come, and we'll go to a restaurant, and we'll shoot there, and then we'll go on a sailboat down the river." And it was really lovely. And I'd love to have something to complain about or to say, you know what, they could have done that better. But everybody was super nice. They were organized. The only snafu, and I'll bring this up only because it was my fault, and it wasn't even like shoot related, it was payment related, which don't
Oh,
forget when you're in this industry, you have to get especially when you book yourselves, you have to make sure you get paid.
oh, there
Make
was
sure
no
you can.
agent, no agent
No, this
involved.
was a direct booking,
We
and
like those.
yeah, which is great. And for when it's Chad and me together, and it was pretty close to where we live, so it was a win all around.
Oh,
A lot of these agencies pay, or like advertising, whoever was production companies, sorry, they pay in different ways. So it's whether it's, they're going to direct deposit or they're going to Venmo you or whatever. This one happened to be on a platform called Rapbook, which I had a profile with an
oh,
old checking account
yeah.
number in it. So they sent the payment. The payment didn't get to me. Now I had to go in there and update it and stuff. And so no big deal, but just one of those things to remember as you make your way through this business. You are your own bookkeeper and accountant. And so um, Yeah. And so the only thing that went wrong on that shoot, not that I'm looking for things to go wrong, it was
Sure.
just beautiful. And the weather was so lovely. I mean, it was like just a nice October day. So happy to be there. And it was super fun.
Even if you weren't being paid, hanging out with your husband on a
On the
boat,
boat.
going to dinner, the camera doesn't make you feel uncomfortable. The camera actually probably adds to the experience because it's like we're on a gig doing this,
So great.
right?
It's so great. And when you said before, you said something interesting. You said this industry is stressful, like many. And I started to go through my mind about the things that make it stressful. And you hit a couple, which is like for me, it was always like, well, where's my next check coming from? What's my next job? Can I get there? Can I get that audition done? You know, just like getting the jobs, the hustle of it can be very stressful and can burn you out super easily. But what always kept me going and what always keeps me going still is the excitement of booking that job and the excitement of going to set and just being there and like getting to experience different things like that, like being on a sailboat in the middle of my town, you know, and it always just keeps you going. So the stress, if you can deal with it, is it's worth it, I think, because the reward is there and it's gratifying to see. You know, I don't know if we'll ever see those pictures or that video. We might, you know, if we find it. But when you do catch them, it's gratifying. You're like, I find everything. Or you will be on the phone with the production getting your stuff.
There you go.
Because Chad will probably, my husband will probably do that so that we have it. But, you know, for me, I'm busy and I'm just like, oh, that's okay. That was fun, you know.
And the truth is I'm like that too. So that when when I do contact these production companies, agencies, whatever, I normally will contact the person that texts me day of or a few days before, and they're like, "Where are your boots on the ground?" Well, I'll normally text that person back and say, like, "Hey, I know it's been 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, sometimes 9 months. I never did receive that final clip from you, and I'm searching online. I don't see it. Could you send it to me? Do you know what? Probably, I'm going to say 9 out of 10. It's probably not that big. It's probably more like 50%, but it's certainly not less than 50%. You know what I most often hear back?
What's that
I don't work for that company anymore.
anymore? Yeah, I know. There does seem to be a lot of crew turnover
Yeah.
or production turnover. Yeah.
And what I always want to say, but I never do, at least via text, is well, now you know how we feel.
I know, right?
Because that's the whole life.
That's
You
it.
work so regular people, you know, real people, not us fake people who are actors and models, if you've seen those castings, regular people, um,
Yeah, those are the ones I
my
get.
God, when I see looking for real people, the reason I don't book those is because my slate is insulting. I'll tell you about that in a second. But um, I really, I admit it. Yeah, I insult them. But we live your worst nightmare of going to that first job interview. We live that not just every day, but if we're lucky, 3 to 8 times a day.
A day. Yeah, right.
A day. So it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm so nervous. I have an appointment with Deloitte and Touche. It's like, for what? An audit? No, it's a job interview. It's 115 a year with a 401k. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. The only 115s I remember seeing when I was that age was the time
The
I had to
time.
get that audition in. You know? Um, but anyway, but no, you do have to be you have to be hyper aware of every aspect of your job in this business. And that proves how much we love it. Because we're willing to go through all that, you know what, just to sit on a sailboat with our spouse on camera? Well, the answer is yes. That's absolutely right.
Yeah, because it's cool. And
Yeah.
they paid us to do it and it was lovely.
And it's not
And
skill set free.
No, no, we
But we
were
make it look skill set free.
exactly.
Can you
Yeah.
think of any skill sets that, like, and I know this is off the top of your head, but that you used on this shoot that somebody who's never been on camera before would either be uncomfortable or nervous or in their head, but you and Chad were just there? Do I need to edit that? You and husband
No, no,
were
that's fine.
just there. Okay.
No. Um, yeah, I mean, I think knowing that, when you're sitting on this, so we were on this long sailboat, right? And Chad and I were sitting by the sail, kind of looking out over the water. The camera was here where the steering wheel was, so it's pretty far back. And like knowing that, like
Helm. I think that's called the
the
helm.
oh, okay, the helm,
I don't know. I
the
don't
boat
know. Keep
thing,
going. Keep
the
going.
big circle, knowing that like we had a stagger, excuse me, yeah, and so that you could see him and you could see me, and we were just aware that the camera was there, and the boat
Mhm.
was tight quarters too, and so just maneuvering that, of course, the sail. I had never been on a sailboat before, sailing, ever. So
Haven't I tried to book you using footage of you on a
not a boat,
sailboat?
not a sailboat particularly.
Oh,
Boat, tons and tons of boats, but
you're referring to the way it's powered.
yes, like an
The
actual sail.
the mast with the sail, that's a
Mhm.
sailboat, but a
Somebody
boat that
actually,
is sailing is just a
yes,
boat.
yes, a boat powered by an actual sail. So that
That's
was interesting.
horrifying.
It was beautiful. I
Is
mean,
there
but
a motor on it,
there
period, though?
was,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Okay.
Yeah, so that kind of, we actually used the captain used the motor quite more than, because it really just wasn't a windy day and we needed to get the shots. But and then being aware of the drone. I mean, so those are things that you just,
The drone.
yeah.
So at any given moment, you've got a camera that is seeing you from multiple angles, up close, far away, trying to make sure that not only are you visible, but also that you're not blocking your scene partner, who's
Sure.
also your spouse. I mean, that's a lot. And in all of the hectic atmosphere of doing a shoot, you have to, when action is called, look like this is the most relaxing, splendid day
We
of your
do it
life.
all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. But I
Ain't no
think the
thing.
truth is, if you can learn to become comfortable in those situations, essentially learn to lie to yourself, because that's kind of what
Yeah.
acting in the commercial anyway is. If you can do that, then you really will have an enjoyable time, which makes the commercial better.
Yes, for sure. Yeah. Like there were times where we were like, oh yeah, wait, we are being filmed. Like because we just kind of lost in talking or just enjoying and looking around. So um yeah, it's lovely. And I was fortunate because I was on that shoot with my husband, so it's
Right.
it's a lot easier. But I have been in that situation obviously with other models.
Oh,
And you have to go with it. You have to get close. You've got to put your arm, and that could be uncomfortable, especially if you're just starting out and you're not sure. I always just tried to make it very like um no big deal, like every other
right.
model and actor that I had a chance to work with was super respectful, very nice, and like you, but you have to hold hands. You have, so you got to do it.
Of course. And it's one of those things where have never I've never felt uncomfortable doing that on camera
Hmm.
because for me at least it's not the action, it's the intention. And I'm in case you haven't noticed, I'm very clear about my intentions for the day, and that is to get MFing paid.
Yeah.
And so so it's like, the last time I was uncomfortable with that situation, um, I was doing it was actually one of my very first big productions. It was called Cinderella, and I was in the fifth grade playing King Not So Charming Anymore, and I had to dance with Queen Cinderella. That was very uncomfortable for me.
Hmm.
That's the last time I remember being like,
Being
well,
like, oh, this
I'm
is
not
weird.
okay with this.
But I have never had an on-screen kiss or anything like that. I haven't acted in,
Really?
no, I have not.
Really? Would you be
So
okay with such a thing, do you think?
I do, it depends really on the project, but yeah, if I'm an actor, then I would be acting. Like that's what it is. So yeah, I mean I would. It just hasn't come up.
Let me give you a little, let me give you a little trick. Give you a little trick. Um, Whatever the rate is that they're initially offering,
Yes.
they're hoping that you go. I'm being dead serious, right? Especially in the day and age of vertical shorts, which are pretty much all romance novels, like videofied, and if this is possible, cheapened, um, and rushed. Look, even the producers know it. Nobody's pretending like it's something that it isn't. But there's so much intimacy that they'll even hire an intimacy coordinator.
Coordinator.
We've
Yeah.
we've heard of fight coordinators before. By the way, I know you need to leave at some point. I forgot the exact time. Are we
Four
past that
minutes.
time?
Mm-mm, not yet.
All right. So I'll wrap this up. Point is, there are fight coordinators because it's difficult to like be in a scene pretending to fight somebody in the 90s. Now we're dealing with you're not fighting. It's just a rough physical interaction or whatever. And they hire somebody to come in to make sure that everything is respectful in terms of the production setting, not what we see on camera, so to speak, but the people there, right? So every instance that happens, set a number and tell
Per
casting
instance.
per instance.
Right.
Don't be ridiculous. Don't make it $1,000,
Right.
but you
Right.
can make it $120.
Right.
I'm going to be
Interesting.
uncomfortable during this because I don't want to do this, but I am dedicated, committed to your project. So if you can cut down on them, that'd be great. I'll do as many as you need. And to make sure that we both get the amount that we need, which is many less, much less for you. And no, let me rephrase that. Much, much more reductions for me and
Right.
many less reductions for you. What I'm going to do is say it's 120 every occurrence. So I'm going to work on building myself up to do more of them. You guys work on writing and crafting the story so that it's not all that.
Yeah.
And we'll meet in the middle. And maybe it'll cost you, you know, 400 or 500 extra bucks, and it'll only cost me dignity and respect for myself that I will have to live with for the rest of my life. I think that's a fair trade. I've only had to say that once, and I wasn't even the person being intimate on camera. I was negotiating for somebody else, but it worked. Um, but I don't think that's something we ever should just feel like is just built into the job.
Interesting.
That's my point in all that.
Yeah. Yeah. Great advice because I wouldn't have known that and I never really had to negotiate on something like that. So I will speak to you if I ever do before you can
Yep,
give me the
please do.
language, even though you just
Um,
did.
in any other advice you can give anyone, and because we're gonna wrap this here. This has been quick and it's been fun, but man, when we hit it, you know?
Yeah.
Like if you're a new or maybe a recurring talent and you want to book more and you want to know what even the people who've been doing this for years, what they still see as challenging. And then the things that they say, no, I had to train myself to let go and I did, and here's how I did it. What would some of those things be? Like knowing that there are multiple cameras, that's
Mm.
one. Was it maybe joking, laughing, and hanging out with your husband on camera? Like, was that weird? Any weird parts, how did you get past them is what I'm asking.
Great question. Um, for there was a lot of weird stuff. First of all, I when I started in this business, I hated being on camera. I hated my image. I hated my face. I hated
Why
my
would you start in
voice.
this business then?
I have a good idea. I'm going to go on camera because I wanted, honestly, I was like, I think my mother's been lying to me this whole time because when I looked at myself, I was like, I don't see it, and I'm like, my mother's lying to me. Let me see if I can do this for real. And so I
Was your mother's
did.
lot? Was your mother saying you're beautiful and you're talented? Go out there and do it.
Yes. Oh my God, she's my beautiful daughter, my beautiful daughter. You
Oh, I
know,
love the way you say that. Reminds me of all of my
and
friends back in New York.
that seems so silly, but I mean,
No,
if I
it
dug
doesn't.
deep it down, I was like, if I don't do this now, I will never know if I could have some kind of career on camera.
That, that right there is why I think you're such an incredible mother. That right there,
You.
right there.
Aw.
Because it was like I gotta know this in order to move forward. Even if I don't do this with my life, like I gotta know where I stand so I can make other decisions that this will, affect.
Yes.
And
Yes. And so I can be okay with other things that I do in my life because I know I've gone down this road, I've explored it. Look, many
yep,
times I'm like, I wish I could go further, or if I lived somewhere else, blah, 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 if I was younger, all this stuff. But I mean, I'm happy where I am in this industry right now. And I always leave that door open to, come back into it and in a big way when I'm ready. But yeah, if I didn't do it then, I would always, you always regret it.
that's the worst. That's the
Yeah,
worst. To,
it
to to look
is.
back and go, I should have. I have so many should have and could have's. I halfway did it and then backed out, which is
Yeah.
even worse.
Oh yeah, I've done that.
I'd rather never have done
Yes,
it than
I
gone
know.
halfway and then left,
Yes, I know. Because
right?
yeah, yeah.
But I was gonna say we're gonna wrap here, but maybe
Yes.
next episode we'll talk about when you go to school to learn this sort of thing. My suggestion, this little teaser, my suggestion is, and it's not just because I own an institution that teaches you privately, but I don't think this should be your college dollars alone. I think it should come into play in your college years, but you need to learn something that is not industry related and something that is industry related. And we'll talk about that in the next episode. But are you able to, if you're not, it's okay. Are you able to tell us what the product was for the commercial shoot so we can look for it?
Oh, that I did recently.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a tourism. So it was just about
Tourism,
tourism
period.
in
Like people should tour.
should go around. No, for the area that I live in.
Ah,
Yeah,
got it.
which is
Got it.
really funny. And I'll leave you with this very quick story.
Okay.
So we did about a year ago, same production company. We did another tourism shoot for this area, and we hadn't really seen any of those pictures. So we go to this big college orientation for my son, who goes to college about a half an hour away.
No way.
And in the bag that they're giving everybody is the tourism guide. And guess who's on the cover? Chad and Leslie. It was actually a picture like I'm turned to the side and it's like the back of us and we're walking down this long pier. But like everybody who went to the orientation got the book.
And,
And it
and they're
was
like,
like, where's that you wait? Oh, we were just tickled pink because we thought that was the funniest thing. But
your son, was he excited about that or embarrassed by it?
we're like, Bryce, this is a great icebreaker. You could be like, guys, these are my parents. He didn't care. He was like, I don't
He didn't care at all.
know.
There
I
you
mean, he's
go.
like, that's cool for you guys, but I'm like not gonna really use that to break the ice with people.
Well, of course not. But he didn't go, oh my God. He was just like,
No,
oh,
no.
nice, cool. And then
Yeah.
moved on.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
said, that's great parenting. And that's also, if I may say so myself, a pretty great show. And we'll
Yes,
see
it
you
was. I'm
all.
sorry it was so
Uh,
short, but a short show. Short.
Honestly, I'm not. I think we're better when we keep it tight
Yeah.
because when we don't, man, I go on these rants where it's just like, how is Jonathan cutting 45 minutes out of this show? Oh, it's because he didn't shut his mouth. So, like, so I think we did it. That's the show, everybody. And
Bye.
we'll see you next time.
I
Bye
gotta
bye.
run. Bye.